You're welcome.
I was in Kurt for a while.
I told you I need a ride. Look who this.
We'll see what we can do. See if
Call
there's
an
a-
Uber.
see if there- Well, I appreciate it. We're coming back from executive session where all was purely discussionary, no decisions were made, and nothing needs to be added to the agenda. I appreciate your patience and your understanding with this, and it's never happened under that Jacobson outfit. All right, so we've got the presentations, public comments, accept. Need a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Under the staff committee and agency reports, I've asked Rob to give us a little update on what we thought, what water tower up, water tower in. Sir,
Mayor, council, how are you guys this evening? Thank you. Big day for us, or actually it was kind of a big day yesterday. We finally got the final testing results back from the lab. Everything passed with our reservoir. We did final quantity residuals this morning and they're well within where we wanted it to be. We took off with the notion today that we were gonna be able to get it online by the end of the day. Open valves up. Went and closed valves for the pressure zone 5, so we could isolate everything up in the Grand Heights area. And went to start the bleach pump station, and we had a setback of, we were missing a little bit of programming on some PLCs in the booster pump. So while the reservoir is all ready to go and can be online, we don't have a way to keep it full. With the pumps we have across town, we're not able to push water up high enough to keep it full. So we're working on some other programming issues. It's gonna move along fairly quickly. We're hoping to be able to have the whole thing back and up running online by either next week or the week after. It's not a big hurdle. It's not a big deal. It was just a minor, in a nutshell, the booster pump station doesn't know what to do. So there's no logic in the PLCs. We want to set it up so that it'll run off of pressure and we can start it and it'll run, but it doesn't know what it's looking at or what to do. So it'll sit there and idle at 30% and doesn't know to ramp up or ramp down. In the nutshell.
questions from council? I've got one.
Oh.
Of course. Could you explain a little bit, some of the questions that I've been getting from the public on this is that great water tower, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. How does that water tower on that area of town benefit the entire community?
It benefits the entire community by we're not trying to push water from the west side of the town to the east side of town anymore. We've created pressure zone 5, which basically separates right about the bottom of where C Street would be. That division, we've got kind of an imaginary line that goes across. We've created a pressure zone up where the reservoir is so that those people will have adequate water pressure for that whole area to support that growth that's going on up there. They'll go from having about 47 pounds, 46 pounds to having closer to 60 pounds. There's some houses up there that, from what I understand, literally have issues with being able to flush the toilet and have laundry running. It won't support doing the two things because the pressure's so low. The benefit to the people on the west side of town is that we're not trying to push. We're not having to try to create as high a pressures over on the west side to push water clear up into the heights. In times that when well 10 was down or whatever, when we actually needed to try to keep the water pressure up, the only way to do that was to try to keep increasing the pressure on the whole system to push it up on top of the hill. And we don't need to do that anymore. So there's actually a few places right around on First Avenue where we're going to be able to reduce the pressure from, I don't want to misquote, but I've heard there's a few houses right in there that have pressures creeping up on 100 pounds. then we'll be able to actually reduce that back down where it's a manageable. Plumbing systems don't like to run on that. That's just not where they're designed to run. They're not, shouldn't be running there.
So a big part of the past is that these reservoirs that we see up here forever on the side of the hill, that pretty much took care of the whole community, right? Because we moved water back and forth. So as time rolls on and we've got the tower over there with that nifty little E on the, anyway. So we've got that going on. If one of these reservoirs go down, we will still be able to supplement that with water coming out of the northeast section. So it's more of a group effort up there than that's just for that area.
Absolutely. There's one reservoir that serves like the Statter Road area neighborhood. That there's one reservoir that's all it does is feed that upper area. And then there's two reservoirs that take care of it, feed the rest of the city. And then there's the res 5 that's up higher up on the hill. We actually pump water up there and it serves more of the houses in the Morningstar area. Res 3 and Res 5 primarily serve just that area. There's not enough. Res 3 can bleed water down, but the way it's plumbed right now, it only serves that area. And so we try to be careful with how we utilize that. Res 2 and 4 are the ones you see lower down on the hill. They're the ones right now that currently serve all of downtown and push up.
Great. So it's a community effort.
It's really gonna really help balance the system, for lack of better words. We're not gonna have to work one side so hard to push to the other. And then one of the big things that we gained with all of that was like the jail project. We've got a loop water main now that goes almost clear to the furthest south point of town. That's huge. And the way the pressure zones work, we can set it up to bleed water if we need to. If we need help downtown, if we have a bad summer, well 10 is going to be a great producer. We're talking over 2,000 gallons, 2,200 gallons a minute when it's all rehabilitated. If we have to in the summertime, we can bleed water back down into town. It just, all it takes is it's not even programming. It's just readjusting the PRV so that once the pressure gets to a point up here, it actually starts sending water back down.
Great. Thanks, Ron. Questions? Good to go. Anybody else from the committee want to tell us about their story? If not, we'll move on.
Can I say something?
Got this voice in the back of my head. I don't know. Yes, ma'am.
Just say that after living with the talk and the thought and the dream and the vision of a water tower for what, the last 10 to 15 years, would you say? When it was just a thought to build a water tower, I gotta say, my heart is just beating to know that this thing is up and almost running. That Ephrata built this water tower and it's working, and people can now shower and run a sprinkler or wash a load of clothes. I'll tell you, the public's going to be very excited, and I certainly am. So one more thing, I'm very glad that Mr. Mayor, that you got to finish your term and see the water tower complete.
Got someone here done.
Probably hear that later on tonight. Thank you, ma'am. Nice lady. I remember finding her on the list. Okay, Phil, you have something?
Well, I guess something that kind of touches a few bases. It's part police, part city clerk, part new app, part couple of things. About a week ago, somebody stopped by the storage units that I own and contributed a mattress and a bed springs to the dumpster, or by the dumpster that I have, about 3:30 in the afternoon. I saw it when I was going home at 5:30. The problem with that is that if it doesn't go in the dumpster, they won't take it. So I become responsible for that mattress and getting it somewhere from here to the dump, which is not the end of the world, but it shouldn't be my job. It's not my mattress. So I posted something online. Hey, does anybody know the driver of this car? And I've got video and camera shots that showed the mattress being unloaded, put by the dumpster, and a guy driving off. I got that online about 6:30. Probably by 10 that night, I had blowups of the license plate number. By 4 o'clock, when I woke up and was thinking about it, I got up and used our new app and lodged a complaint as far as with the city code guy in terms of an enforcement thing is concerned. And here's my complaint, here's my issue, here's my photos, here's my video. And it was assigned a case number, and we'll contact you when we have more information. By 7:30 in the morning, somebody comes up and says, hey, I know where that guy lives. Okay, great. Now, I wasn't planning on doing anything. I just wanted to make sure that I was talking about the same guy. I drove by and it was the same guy. And I kept driving. I wasn't going to stop and talk to him about it. As I'm driving back down from Northeast Ephrata to come back down to work, about that time, I get a phone call from Officer Roberts in terms of, hey, I saw your post online. I know the guy. I said, well, this is the address I had. He says, that's the address we have. So he went by and talked to him. And by 8:30 the next morning, the mattress and the springs were gone. I get a phone call from the city code enforcement saying, hey, the police officer dropped by to let us know that that was taken care of, case closed. So in the course between 3:30 and 9 o'clock the next morning, done deal. Thank you. It was nice for participation. It was great as far as the police officer was concerned involved. The city app worked. It all fit together, just like it's supposed to. That's it.
Right. Okay,
Kudos.
Thank you.
thank you, Phil. Any other public comments all of a sudden? Moving on to ordinances, for the first reading is ordinance 25-14, elected official compensation waiver.
So this was in response to a request for a formal process for elected officials to waive the compensation that's provided under code in recognition of the prohibition under the state constitution against diminishing the salary of any city officer after their election. So this is a request. This is just provides a process, and there's a waiver that would be signed by any elected official who wanted to waive their compensation.
Okay. So it's the first reading, 25-14. Council has three options to move it, to accept it as provided, to move it to the second reading, or to do nothing. So it's up to council. Sounds like council wants to do nothing. So we'll move on to ordinance 25-15, supplemental appropriation.
Good evening, councilors and Mr. Mayor. I have the supplemental appropriation. This is a budget amendment for 2025. This is, fingers crossed, our final budget amendment for 2025. We do have to have our budget completely finished within the fiscal year, even though we are able to have a 13th month, which allows us to finish paying the items that were bought in December. So just because we purchased it in December and we got it in January, bill comes in January, we still pay for it with December money. However, we have to take that into account when we are doing our budget. So this is a total of all of the items that were amended over the year of 2025. So anytime you guys approved anything, we said this will take a budget amendment. An example of this would be the Public Works contract, Airport Street, Purple Pipe, well repairs, the iWork contract, as well as the Lions Park going. So those are some of the items. The total here for the budget increase is $176,899.99. $2,399,999.99 is showing the expenditures of the transfers to the general fund or the general capital projects fund. We did that ordinance to make that amendment. I am new at this and made a mistake there. I should have had it be the expenditures from those funds as well as the revenue going into and being spent. So it kind of double dips because it's the same money, but it's showing in two different spots. If that makes sense. Does anyone have any questions on that?
If I could add, that was the purchase of 250 Basin, which was a non-budgeted item, which was 2.3.
And attach the worksheets, if you guys can see that. I am asking that we adopt this with expediency. If not, we will have to have a special council meeting to adopt it later this year. It has to be done in December of 2025.
Questions from council? Remembering that this is the first reading, you have three options: to do nothing, to pass with to motion and pass with expediency, or to motion and move to the second reading, which would be next year or somewhere between now and New Year's Eve. So
I would make a motion that we pass with expediency.
I second.
thank you, Bo. Thank you, Kathleen. Any other questions? Motion before council, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. This is now moved to the second reading, ordinance 25-12, the easement vacation. Ron, could you tell us again the same story we heard?
Sure. This is, at your last meeting, you heard of the request from Mr. Chamberlain to vacate the rear easement on the lot you see on the board. It has been supported by everybody as far as that would use that, so there is really no need for it. Across the property line, there is a 100-foot easement for the PUD and for major power lines, so there really isn't one that's needed. You did hear at the last meeting that it was, the first reading, so this would be just finishing up and moving forward, adopting or not.
All right, thanks, Ron. Questions from council?
And we're going to see a follow-up to this as far as for those remaining lots.
We have sent out letters. We have started getting responses back that our people are interested in going the same. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll get all those signatures back and we can move forward with that.
Need a motion to accept ordinance 25-12, the easement vacation?
So moved.
Thank you, Phil. Thanks, Mike. Any more questions? Before council, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Resolution 25-85, the legal services contract.
So just following up on last council's announcement that Catherine is retiring because her current contracts are with that firm name, and I'll just be moving on into my own professional services corporation. This is just shifting it basically on entity. There is no change in compensation under the contract.
Gonna kick her out of the office?
At the end of May, yes. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Anything from council? Need a motion to accept resolution 25-85, the legal services contract with Anna?
So move.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Administration reports. Reminder that council work session training the 29th and 30th from 5 to 8.
Well, with that, Mr. Mayor, we would like to take the opportunity to recognize your years of service as both a council member and the mayor for the citizens of our community. I'd like to thank you for your time and all of the efforts. There's a few people here who I think have some things to say. I have a letter that's been sent to me that someone has requested I read into the record. This comes from Tom Gaines, the administrator for Grant County. Mr. Mayor, as the political landscape shifts and new opportunities emerge, it is important to pause and recognize the remarkable partnership between Grant County and the city of Ephrata during your tenure as mayor. Your leadership has helped shape a collaborative spirit that has truly benefited our shared community. As I have often said, our organizations are in each other's hip pockets. Our offices are only a few blocks apart, and that proximity has been matched by an equally close working relationship. Many times, I have simply walked over to City Hall so we could talk through ongoing projects, future plans, personnel matters, and most importantly, our shared sense of what Ephrata needs to thrive. Throughout my tenure, the city has been an exceptional partner. You have listened carefully, debated candidly when needed, and above all, consistently demonstrated a commitment to working together to serve both the city and the overlapping interests of the county. That spirit of collaboration has helped ensure that decisions were made with the broader good of our residents in mind. In recent years, that relationship has grown even stronger. We have participated in each other's interview processes, aligned and leveraged our respective projects, and remained focused on delivering the best possible outcomes for the people we serve. Together with partners such as the PUD, the school district, and engaged community members, we have continued to discuss and shape the future of Ephrata in constructive and forward-looking ways. Effective leadership is never easy, and the culture within the city during your time as mayor reflects the standards you have set. The staff members I have worked with across public works, planning, building, finance, and every other department have been professional, engaged, kind, and cooperative. I am consistently greeted with a smile and a willingness to help whenever I approach the city for any reason. As you leave office, my hope is that this transition opens a new chapter of joy, fulfillment, and opportunity for you. I also hope the incoming mayor will recognize and build upon the leadership, culture, and professionalism fostered by you and the city administrator, and will appreciate the privilege of leading one of the best-run cities in Grant County. It has truly been a joy to work with you, and I look forward to continuing the tradition of productive collaboration with the new administration. You know where to find me, and my door is always open if you ever wish to stop by, share your perspective, or simply bend an ear. I hope you will. Most respectfully, Tom Gaines, Administrator, Grant County, Washington.
Oh.
Tom also sends his very deep regrets he couldn't be here this evening. As you know, he volunteered to be a short-term city council member in another community, and they happened to meet on the same nights that
Kind of wiped out the whole letter.
but he did call today to remind me to read this to you, and he asked that I give this to you as well, so you can have it.
These collaborative partnerships are what make service work and what makes service valuable. It's really nothing individual, and these guys that have been around, they understand that. It's nothing without this table right here, which is nothing without this table right here. And there's a whole pile of them down at Public Works and a whole bunch of blue shirt guys in the other office that individually run the whole thing. So standing back and just kind of pointing every now and then, and mostly get out of the way, because they do exactly. I mean, you just got a heck of a testimony tonight about our water tower, and I appreciate Tom. It's been a pleasure working with the jail and all the projects that have been going on, because there's especially the detour that we had when we put the roundabout in out there, and how we all came together to work, and there was no yeah buts, and there was no me first, and there was none of that, which was that meeting that we had here was just an incredible outpour and understanding of how these people work together. There's no egos. Eagles are checked at the door. And if you do, you're going to be told about it pretty quick with this outfit, which is the way to go. And I just enjoy everything that it's been a pleasure. Part of it is tonight. You got, it's been since 2003 that I've been wandering around here. And between myself and Chris sitting back there, you've got 15, 20 years of mayors. You don't get that in communities. You don't get that. We've had four police chiefs in that time. We've had 2 fire chiefs, which is just incredible. Or fortunately, because they both come from the same house, but that's all right, and that's very important. And during our time, I was talking to Leslie about it earlier yesterday. We've had 4 administrators just since 2000, I believe, isn't it? That's pretty close, which is incredible. And we got 3 of them sitting right here tonight. We've got Kurt back there, and we've got Ray sitting here, and we've got Mike over here. And that's just an incredible amount of, without Wes, who we go back into the dark ages when Wes was here, but each one of them bringing an incredible amount of service. I mean, this guy, he just won't give up. He just keeps coming. He went from chief of police to city administrator to council person, and this guy took us through COVID. This is one of the few communities that I know in Eastern Washington. We got through COVID and we didn't lose anybody, did we? We didn't lose a one. We didn't lose an hour's work. We didn't lose a project. We didn't have any health issues that got into that. And that's Mike doing that kind of stuff. And with all the important things that get in behind that, we went through another dry spell when we were searching and all that stuff, and Kurt stepped in the way and got in the middle of everybody with that one, but brought a huge amount of expertise to that. And we wouldn't have functioned throughout that. And that set the foundation when you get back into that, to this guy down here in the blue shirt with the nifty new logo on it. And that's that is just the stair step for the future. You don't have to worry about that. If you got questions about the future, turn around. See those Post-its up there? That's our future right there. And it's not me. It's really not much of the council. It's everybody else at this table with their projects. Man, watching that is just going to be incredible. I mean, we did things in the last, 2 years that are just unfathomable. We turned over almost our whole crew out here in the office across a bunch of young kids, a bunch of whippersnappers out there. But holy smokes, do they know what they're doing? This little thing here, watch out for this one. And this one, I mean, I can go down the line to Mallory and to Kari and to the whole thing and just keep on going. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, because we fired up Rob out there, and Christian has just stepped out of his zone and into a whole new world down there at Public Works, and to watch what's going on. How many new employees in the last 3 years, Christian?
7.
That's 7. Out of how many?
Actually, we started with 13 and we're at 17 now.
Holy smokes. Can you imagine the paradigm shift that's going on down there? You know, in the time that I started, you opened the door. The time that I started, we went through over a dozen council people, all the way back from Steve over here, and we had Lynn, who was here a little bit earlier tonight. That's the bottom line. That's the foundation that got this together. I can remember right there. Steve sat right there and did that, and Lynn sat over here, and we went through. Matt knows we've gone through just a whole bunch of stuff just quietly. This council and these people in this town, they're just quietly going about their business, and all of a sudden, poof, a water tower shows up. That's not all of a sudden. Like this beautiful young lady over here says, she's the, what do we call her?
The mayor.
There you go. That's how all that stuff gets started. I mean, we're at least 10 years that I can remember. And I'll go back that far. And we do that all the way to our police department that has been struggling for years. I mean, you watch I assume you watch the news. It's hell out there to find an officer, and even better, even harder to find a good officer. But these guys have been all over themselves. I don't know. I've been to four or five graduations, which is just it's just a lot of blue suits running around, but it's a great time. And some of this goes all the way back. This goes all the way back to Jake. There was a bunch of changes that went on. What year did you start?
2002.
2002, and off we went. And that wasn't easy. We had no budget. We didn't have any money. That's when Chris forced us not to take our paychecks for a while. But that's important. And it was a big deal. So we set the parameters. The foundations are set. Everything that happens after that kind of pales in comparison. Tony just walked in the door. One of my councilmen right there. Welcome, Tony. Good to see you. Tony, how long were you on council? 15 years. Hard to get rid of these guys, which is important because that sets that foundation. And it comes down to public service. Nobody in this room is bigger than the city. That's what we do. We're for the people. I have found out in my term about this, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a libertarian. I'm more for you do what you need to do. And it's kind of bumped up a little bit into things that go on around here, but that's fine. I think that's important. My representation for the time that I was here, for the people out there, was very simple: water, sewer, garbage, safety, and a couple other minor things that get in the middle of that. Well, that's what I think the people give us money for. That's what I think they pay their bills for. And anything else to me is peripheral. We can deal with it. We'll figure out how to do it. But to service the people has been paramount with that. Eric and I have talked about it quite well. Hell, pick a person. We've talked about that a lot. It's service. That's what it's all about. If you have an agenda or have something else to do, walk away, because it's going to eat you up. We don't put up with that. Steve remembers back when we didn't have any money. You want to vote for this? Well, I'd sure like to, but we don't have any money. Pretty simple. Les did an excellent job of Leslie, and we all know Leslie, did an excellent job of keeping us out of trouble. So anyway, I'll give my speech later. No, I appreciate everything that you've done. I've enjoyed it. Walking away, yeah, it was a good 20 years. Let it go, dude. So I'm real happy with it. I wish Steve all the luck in the world, because there's so much potential that's going on in this community. And if you just stand back and get out of the way, these guys are all over it. Anyway, thank you.
Well, you got a few people who have
yeah.
prepared some parting words for you.
Darn, now we kind of got out of there.
I know of at least one for sure. Chris? Yep.
Well, there's much to say after Ryan gave his farewell speech.
It's like a funeral.
Well, Mr. Mayor, council and staff, it's nice to be back here after a clean year. And thanks for allowing me to say a few words for my friend Bruce, even though I violated your council rules when I signed up. Thank you for letting me speak.
We'll jot that.
In fact, I could put you to sleep. Actually, Bruce, since he's the oldest guy in the room, as you can tell. So Bruce,
I guess we know where this is going.
half century. I was a senior in high school and Bruce a sophomore. I remember him as this pugnacious, don't screw with me with this wrestler, I'll kick your ass attitude, which he still possesses today. We reconnected in Euphrata at the athletic club after a 7-year hiatus that I had. And I foolishly thought that I might have the upper hand at racquetball against Bruce. I hope that wasn't the case. Bruce consistently beat me with low corner shots, and when I creeped up on the front line of the court, he lovingly tattooed my backside with ball-sized dots. So Bruce, we have this in common. We have both been painfully tattooed. I know how much that hurts. The difference is you get to walk out of this room as a winner with a list of successes that I trust most in this room understand or will come to understand. Let me explain. Bruce and I and maybe four others in this room remember the circus, hellscape, mass dysfunction of this chamber in the fall of 2002, when I was elected as the first mayor in a long time, and Bruce was appointed to the council and then appointed as mayor pro tem. And with Bruce's leadership, we established council rules, which I guess you use today, requiring everyone in this room to play nice in the sandbox, effectively nudging the remaining defeated municipal council meeting members off the council, giving us time to project more substantial numbers. With Bruce participating in hiring Administrator Cradle, Police Chief Warren, and others at City Hall, led to rebuilding of public administration and other employees' trust that had been damaged from prior years. And rebuilding that trust created the opportunity to spend $12 million for many water line and street improvement projects in the city. Your commitment to privatize city outlet service led to reducing staff levels, reducing equipment costs, and closing a $1 million bust in the ambulance and revenue costs that Craig and I found. With your help, the Ephrata Police Department received state accreditation for professionalism, exceeding standards for evidence gathering, and maintaining use of force records, which is basically like getting a gold star for exceeding the plane group rules. And those are only a few things that I thought of when I was driving over the bets. But as mayor of Bruce for 10 years, from what I can see, you basically became the poorly paid efficiency expert for the city. Successfully reorganized the administrative positions, adding engineering positions so the city no longer paid for outside engineering services. By my guess, saving millions of dollars to the city for free. You improved pressure zones with shiny new pumps in the water tower. You managed to stretch city funds like taffy, to leverage state funds to seal coat a bunch of city streets. There are plans for adding pickleball courts and others, sports complex, plans for new playground equipped on Lions Park, plans for new restaurants and Lions and sports complex. There's an effort in developing finally a stormwater grant application that may lead to solving an impasse for the Corps of Engineers and FEMA over floodplain issues. In summary, 30+ million leverage improvements with only 10% participation of city funds. That is like turning an empty piggy bank into a treasure chest. This is the kind of math we all would like to achieve at home. That's a credit to you. And for the first time in years, the police department will be fully funded. You added needed positions at Public Works and had the foresight to push for purchase of the writing building for future years. But beyond budgets, grants, and infrastructure, you brought steadiness and calm to the city process. You made hard decisions that weren't necessarily popular ones, but consistently the thoughtful ones. How and why you lost this election is and will be a puzzle to me. Probably as negative as to why people don't show up to vote, especially when you gave them 20+ years of great leadership. Bruce, you managed to set up the new mayor for success. All he needs to do is walk in the door and say, I want to do what Bruce did. And I hope he does. When you walk out the front door, you should hold your head high. Be proud of your 20 years of accomplishment. You did well. You set the bar very high for the future mayor, and I wish him as much success as you have. You all know that retired city mayors won't land paid board positions nor enjoy cushy lobbying jobs. But I'm sure Bev We'll be glad to welcome you back full-time, mopping floor. Listening to the old stories, just like old times. And hey, there's an election in 4 years. And if Freda can vote for a 70-year-old president, I'm guessing he'll welcome you back as a probably 77-year-old. Congratulations, best wishes, Merry Christmas, enjoy the next chapter. And Bruce, because you purposely daunted me with those racquetballs, all thanks for the quit. I continue to hold the longest serving strong racquetball.
Thank you, Chris.
Ray. Shortest tenure with the city of anybody in this room, but it was impactful. First off, I want to acknowledge Bev. Being the significant other of a public servant is a real sacrifice. Thank you for that sacrifice, although I know you were often side by side with Bruce, but I want to acknowledge that. By the way, my name is Kurt Atkinson, and I'm the husband of the administrator of the Grant County Health District. And the only reason we showed up tonight is we were told there was going to be zip lining off the top of the new water. Public service, the only thing I know and I wanted to say that this man embodied it is talk about for elected officials and people who are staff members and do this at oftentimes ungrateful work that gets done in these buildings and in these positions is finding out what your community or your constituents want, doing the most good for the most people in the most financially prudent way possible. That's what I know. That's what I saw this man do. I know that oftentimes things and decisions were made that he personally or politically disagreed with, but he knew that it's what the community wanted or what the staff wanted or needed. And that was just, I thought, a great sign of a good public servant. This community, Teresa and I don't live here. Teresa's engaged with the city for many years now. I was here for 3 years, but we consider Ephrata our second home, and we've never lived here. And that's just a kudos to the mayor, and just reiterating your words about what an outstanding town, what a caring town, and what a bunch of people who are trying to do the right things for the right reasons and provide the most good to the town. But it starts at the top, and congratulations, and thanks for the brief time we got to work together. It was awesome.
Thank you, Kurt.
Anybody else has anything they'd like to add?
A big part of the foundation that, hello, sweetheart. We're not done?
Try to blink it.
Oh, thank you, sweetie. All right, Navy.
It's a Seahawks.
It's a Seahawks flag. Better take a look at it, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's for the whole family.
From the family?
I'm sure it looks like Seahawks. I don't know what it is.
Oh, there we
Help
go.
holding it up.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Look okay?
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
good for you.
All right. Goes on my couch.
She made it herself.
No,
Didn't?
Oh,
I make it myself.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Your heart is in it.
Mhm.
All right, sweetheart. Thank you.
You're welcome. I made that. It took me years to make that.
Right?
Yeah.
That's good.
You're very honest. I appreciate that.
And that's why you're here. Huh? Good for you. Big part of what we do. You look at your foundation and you look at what you do, and if you don't believe in the Trinity, you've got a long road ahead of you. This is where it all breaks down. And I know we're not supposed to talk about religion, and I could care less right now. It's a big part of our life, always has been. The good, the bad, the disagreements, the disagreements. The bottom line is there's one person in charge. Anyway, that ought to do it.
We can come down and like to present you with one last rock.
Fix my hair.
Bruce, I'd like to thank you for bringing me home. And if, I didn't think it would ever happen, but obviously growing up here and working here for 13 years with many people in the audience and then having the opportunity to come home, I can't thank you enough for that. So.
Well, welcome home. It's all yours now. Thank you. Drinks are on bill. Anything else? With that, at 7:20, one of our longest ones, I want to thank everybody that came out tonight and really appreciate it. And we'll see you on the street. So we're adjourned. Thank you.